we're going to take a look through the semi-final and the final of our Smokies polls. I forget what you call it. One of those
Australia's
brackets. One of the brackets, the playoff bracket type scenarios. So we've got it up on the screen now for those following up on YouTube, but otherwise you can catch it on the Draft Rugby Twitter.
Instagram.
Who wants to take us through the results?
Yeah, look, I'll give us a bit of an update. So we had a quarter-final playoff. Carter Gordon beating Murphy to come up against Matt Fazler. Two guys that I think had breakout seasons, both in the Wallabies squad. And we had Carter Gordon winning this one 77.4% to 22.6% to have a matchup against the winner of either Brad Wilkin or Corey Toole. Corey Toole took that one out 70-30. So two strong favourites to make the final, Carter Gordon versus Corey Toole.
Huge. And Nelson, you prepared a pretty cool graphic for that one. What are what's the nicknames?
Mate, this is just having a bit of a dabble with Photoshop AI. It's a bit of fun. We have Maverick, Carter Gordon. Mate, I think Maverick suits the bloke. He does things his own way, and he's an unorthodox 10, and I absolutely love it. And then we've got Super Tool, which I think you loved the nickname Super Tool, didn't you, Kagi?
Look, I wasn't sure about it, but
Corey Hotline. We'll stick to Corey Hotline. But yeah, no, he's dressed as Flash. If no one can see him, he's looking quick. He's wearing his tights, and he's looking very quick.
I think the problem with Tool was it didn't matter what word you chuck in front of it, it still doesn't sound good. I think I offered up Increditool or something, and that's still
the problem here is Tool, not Super. Let's be honest. Guys, this was a pretty one-sided matchup in the end as well, right? So the votes all came in, and Corey Toole had 25%. Which means that Carter Gordon was the winner, 75% as Australia's Smokie of the Year. Everyone wants to see Carter Gordon get a run, which I love, and I think he's played such good footy. His issue is going to be Quade Cooper should play every minute of every big test match. So I don't know when you give Maverick a run, but it's got to be against a lower-ranked team, surely, just to help his development a little bit.
But I will say... I was going to say, I do love him being in there in the Wallabies squad to fully soak up everything from Captain Quade. You know what I mean? Because you feel like if Quade only played another year or two and he wasn't there, didn't get that opportunity, that would be a huge loss. So massive.
I do wonder. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say he's looking cool as a cucumber in the image, wearing his aviators. But look, I wouldn't be surprised after learning off Quade. Throughout this Rugby World Cup, that's going to, push him forward and he'll get a crack in 2024. But, I mean, knowing Eddie, he's probably going to hire Quade Cooper as Carter Gordon's full-time coach for the Wallabies next year, I reckon, anyway. Unorthodox, that's Eddie. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets him to stick around.
Mate, he's got a big coaching staff as it is, and there's no doubt he's used to the English dollars that they can throw around. So... I think that's a very good call, but I think the most interesting question is going to be, how does Quade Cooper rub off on Carter Gordon? Quade Cooper obviously such a confident and confident player and a risk taker as a young player who, as he's matured, has become a little bit more selective, or a lot more selective, of the opportunities that he takes and how he just controls a team a lot more now. Do you think he would discourage that from the Maverick?
No, I actually think Quade knows what his strengths were in the past, and he knows that his strengths necessarily aren't the same thing now. I don't think
he's faster than ever, mate. What are you talking about?
His strengths was never his speed in the past. It was his unpredictability, his ability to create something out of nothing, where now he's a lot more stable, he's a lot more safe, and he's playing a very different style of footy. I don't think he'd tell Carter Gordon to cool it down. I think he'd tell him to embrace it and just to find the way to pick his times, pick his moments to do those things. We saw Carter Gordon this season do his crossfield kick in the goal line, and that was reminiscent of a young Quade Cooper. But we don't see him maybe overplaying his hand, doing a little bit too much of that. which I think, at times we saw Quade doing it. And it wasn't that Quade probably did too much. It was that he didn't have good enough players around him. But it hasn't seemed to have that same feel from Carter Gordon. He seems a little bit more selective with those things. So I think Quade will be able to help him find those right moments and when to release that rather than to stop that.
I think the major evolution in Quade's game was two things. One was he learnt to go to ground with the ball and not just throw it away. And two was that he has now learnt how to make a tackle every now and then and not avoid all contact at all costs. Whereas the Maverick, Carter Gordon, as we've seen from this Super Rugby season particularly, mate, he loves a bit of contact. He loves getting
it.
And absolutely froth on that. So perhaps maybe don't take many tips from Quade on the defensive end. But if Quade can show him how to throw one of those 50-meter rockets out in front of someone, power to that. Would love.
In all honesty, he probably needs to learn a little bit of being afraid by Quade Cooper because he gets himself involved in too many rucks. We need him out wide.
I'm all here for it, mate. I want him to be the first 10 to score a pick and drive try. You know what I mean? Get in there.
For it. Hey, I'm all for it. My last point on this image before we move on to our next topic is just, I think Corey, the hotline tool, would froth the fact that you've made him the same height as Carter Gordon.
Look, I've got him a couple inches shorter, but I've definitely inflated his size.
I agree.